All right, everyone, another huge victory for populism in Argentina. There's a sweeping omnibus reform bill that's been proposed by Javier Milei down there, and it actually passed through the lower house. They had, in fact, by a significant margin, they had enough votes to get it through, triggering protests by the socialists in Argentina. And so they'll block roads and burn cars and howl and rage about, oh my God, they're going to reduce the subsidies. Oh my God, they're going to privatize certain government-owned industry. Oh shit. That's a terrible thing. It's basically fascism. Yeah, it's fascism when people are capable of restoring their own economy because clearly the government has been unable to do so over the course of several decades. Fascism is when you have less taxes, apparently. Fascism is when you have less rules. It's also scrapping hundreds and hundreds of laws, some related to, again, industry mainly, to try to jumpstart the Argentinian economy. By getting rid of some of the detritus, the bureaucratic dead weight, reducing the number of ministries there, reducing the regulatory burden, reducing the tax rate, etc., you can cause the economy to expand. And Javier Milei's hope is that compensates for the high inflation rate and the general downturn of the Argentinian economy. Decades ago, before damage by socialism, Argentina was a very major world economy. It fell well outside of that list now and is sucking hind tit despite having an abundance of resources, a reasonably literate population, a large land area, fairly large proportion of arable land, a huge coastline, every energy development's possible there. You've got all these advantages that you have, and yet they weren't taken advantage of. Socialists, it's the same thing as what happened in Venezuela, only it's microcosmic. Argentina is not a banana republic. Argentina has multiple major industries there. With Venezuela, it was just oil. Basically, oil and some fucking tropical fruits and lumber and stuff like that. It's basically the economy of Venezuela. And what happened was that Chavez came in with his socialistas and upended that economy. What had been reasonably privatized was largely federalized. It was largely communized in nature. And Chavez said, well, we've got all this oil, it's valuable, we've got all this money. Why don't we borrow against our oil? Because oil's going to get more valuable over time because peak oil. And they speculated on the price of oil and what it would be in the future. So they took out loans from other nations, huge numbers of loans, many times their actual GDP. And they spent it on welfare. They spent it building infrastructure inefficiently. That's what happens with government. It never brings a return. Sometimes it's critical infrastructure. You have no choice but to ingest that cost up front so that it pays off in the future. Governments are not really great at determining whether to make that bet or not because they don't feel any responsibility for the fallout. And then the oil prices plummeted. So now people had better plumbing, and they had better access to appliances and basic goods and stuff like that, nice clothes and better food and stuff, which is great. And literacy rose, infant mortality plummeted, accomplished a lot. It was called an economic miracle by the left-wing media as recently as the Obama administration before the bottom dropped out. Then the oil prices massively fell. The United States began pumping it out. We realized we had way more oil than we thought. Peak oil is a mythology. The Middle East kept ramping up production. New oil was found in Scandinavia, and it was found off South America, and it was found in goddamn Mexico and fucking Canada and everywhere else. Oil springing up out of the ground all over the world. Unfortunately, the debt payments that needed to be made were based on the speculation that oil would continue to rise in price. Well, it hasn't even returned from those heights, now has it? It's higher than it has been. I mean, if the U.S. were to go back to drill, baby, drill, as Trump suggests he wants to do, the oil prices will fall again. And Venezuela will go into a massive recession again. And they're barely climbing out of now. They had to get a bunch of loans forgiven by China just to keep their economy afloat. That's what happened in Venezuela. It was based on speculation. Argentina effectively did the same fucking thing. Only their economy could kinda take it. Yeah, the currency's massively devalued and there's a lot more poverty and problems in Argentina, but your economy is not a one-trick pony. Javier Milei, I think, understands and says, look, we've got these advantages. It will be easier for us to climb our way out of it. We've got less of the debt and inflation stuff than Venezuela did. We've got more of an economy potentially, but we need to privatize it. And so that's what he's embarked on. By the way, the people saying, well, Javier Milei is WEF sellout. Has he not fundamentally at least attempted all of the things that he said he wanted to do and gotten many of them done already? He massively shrank the bureaucracy. He massively deregulated things. He's looking at all sorts of new reforms with this bill. It passed the lower house, now it goes to the upper chamber, and we'll see what happens there. And then he signs it. I think that in the end, they'll probably pass it through. I imagine he would bring a shit ton of pressure to bear if they tried to stall it out or water it down or something. There will probably be some negotiations going forward, but I expect the core of this to pass. Which is great news. Congratulations to the people of Argentina for having sane leadership for the first time since I've been alive. And with the Peronist socialist era, Argentina became a joke. Well, it didn't have to be. You had a roaring economy at one time. The same is true of Brazil. Brazil embarks on the socialist thing, which they've unfortunately returned to after shenanigans in their election there, post-Bolsonaro era, and now they have the same problem. They went back in the other direction. The only question is, will Javier Milei have long enough to impose enough reforms for the economy to stabilize so that people see that kind of economy can work, because they're not used to it. The younger generations in Argentina especially, they're not used to having a non-socialist economy. So you go through some pain for multiple years, and that could turn people off to it, and then they switch back even because they forget the pain of socialism, and now they think, oh, well, things are actually worse now, not realizing that, yes, those reforms are messy. Like if Venezuela right now underwent a coup, a revolution by capitalists, and they successfully stabilized the government, it'd be decades before the damage from the socialist era could be ameliorated. Things temporarily would be worse, and people's memory span is short. They would forget about the pain of the Chavez-Maduro thing and start thinking about the pain of whatever El Presidente was currently leading them. And this is rather unfortunate. It's sort of like people forgot the abysmal stagnation of the Obama era, and so they didn't realize how good they had it under Trump, and so honk honk, we decided to re-elect the liberals again. And it's going really, really well, by the way. Polling suggests it. What I want to see is now Trump re-elected, and I want to see his interactions with Javier Milei be fucking hilarious. Can you imagine the two of them appearing on stage together? I have a feeling they'd be fucking bosom buddies, and prop one another up as well. I've thought about visiting Venezuela. Not Venezuela. I don't think that I'd last long before some socialist decided to gulag me there. I'd like to visit Argentina sometime. Looks like a great country, actually. Certainly good food. Fuck. It's the reason why Argentinian steakhouses are all over the goddamn place. There's one, I think there's one in Burlington, I think. Certainly one over in Enschede in the Netherlands. Never got a chance to eat there because they were open at odd hours, unfortunately, but it always smelled good when something was cooking in there. It was like, nice steak. Yeah, baby. Javier Milei is getting it done. He's doing a good job. There are still some people that are blackpilled. They're like, well, he's not going to amount to anything. He already has. He already has. Look at the fucking contents of the bill. Link in the description. Go and read it for yourself. Slash the bureaucracy massively, get rid of a whole shit ton of rules, etc., etc. Yeah, that's a good bill. It's exactly the reform that Argentina needs. The whole world could use more economic reform back in the free market nationalistic direction. That's about all. Peace out.